Folks, welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. Pretty serious today. It may not look so on the surface. You scratch a little below the surface and you find a whole Pandora's box. Why do I say this? Well, let's see. Manipur is a big problem. But why has it gone so far out of hand? Look at it this way. The drug mafia now seems to operate via Manipur. Why? Because the authorities have taken very stern action all along that western frontier with border with Pakistan, from Jammu and Kashmir right down to Gujarat, and a little bit in Mumbai as well. You know, the tablets and the pills that used to come for high-end parties. That mafia also. What does it all mean? Why is it happening now? Well, there's more than one reason. One very big reason is to embarrass Mr. Modi and the BJP government. Why? Because the G20 meeting next month. Remember Donald Trump's visit a few years ago? Shaheen Bagh, Northeast Delhi riots coincide with that particular visit. G20, to make India really look bad. I mean, the opposition doesn't give a damn about India. I mean, to cast India in such poor light, as if there's no law and order, things are out of hand, anything goes here virtually. Why? I mean, it just proves the opposition is not in any hurry to take India forward. Their whole thing is to bring India down. I know they claim to be I.N.D.I.A. which is a farce. Now why is Manipur like this? See, Manipur has a border with Myanmar. And this is where the whole problem begins. You see, Kukis and Rohingyas came in from Myanmar, pushed the natives virtually, or the original inhabitants, the Métis, down into the plains from the hills, which is land grab, nothing else. Now once you do that, what else do they do? About 15-20 kilometers on the Indian side of the border, and 15 to 20 kilometers on the Myanmar side of the border. They've been growing massive amounts of opium poppies for the production of drugs, narcotics, opium. And who's behind it? Aha! An old friend of ours. I use the term friend very loosely. George Soros. You see, George Soros has made a lot of money from the drug trade, not just here, but in Colombia. There's a gentleman known as Zelensky in the 1990s, who needed money, which George Soros provided. Not only Soros provided the money, but he provided that through the banks and the banking system. Now, if he was going through the banks, he had to have very good contacts with the Rothschilds. Remember, not much goes on in the world of banking, without the Rothschilds in the background. They can't. Now, Soros, not Rothschild, Soros formed a think tank as far back as 1994. And what was this think tank all about? Well, the first thing was the Burma project, as far as he was concerned, to take over Burma, to have a pliable government which he could exploit. How would he do that? Go back to the drugs trade. You know that 15-20 kilometer band between the Indian Manipur border and Myanmar, inside Myanmar? There. From there, more of these guys poured into India, into Manipur. Now the think tank. Who was the senior advisor? Aung San Suu Kyi. You heard the name recently? She was, I think, the lady in charge of Myanmar, or Burma as it was then, Myanmar today, for a little while, and then the army junta blew her away virtually. In a sense, corruption charges, she's now serving prison terms. So Mr. George Soros' experiment or his plans succeeded for a bit and then down again. Now we switch to India, the Manipur side. What started this? What was the thing that sparked it off? It was not any government or high court order. You see, the government of India and the government of Manipur started cracking down heavily on the drugs business. And of course, that meant the cookies and the Rohingyas. All of them just about have been or were illegal migrants. They just came across the border without any papers and took over that chunk of land or territory. Now there, the drugs mafia takes over. Because that border on the western border has been sealed off. Remember, according to the press, 21,786 drug smugglers have been placed under arrest in the last 16 months. Now you think of that. See how big that trade was. Now if that shuts off, his entire project fails. Manipur is the next supplier. Whether it's through Assam, through Nepal, through Bangladesh and Nepal, or through the coastal regions. It's a huge network. And drugs are a very lucrative business. Plus, George Soros. You remember his think tank? The senior advisor Aung San Suu Kyi? Who was the co-president of that think tank? Would you believe? Sonia Gandhi? Forward to 2001, September, shortly after 9/11. Rahul Gandhi is caught at Boston Airport with $200,000 of cash in his hand baggage. Where is that money from? Remember, cash. Not a draft or a banker's draft or anything. Cash. That alone would have been enough to put him behind bars in the US for about 40 years. So now, both Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are in George Soros' clutches. They're under his control. Now, the other Rothschild connection. I explained that earlier. You remember Amartya Sen, Nalanda University? You remember Manmohan Singh's 3 daughters, all working and being paid by Nalanda University? And the youngest, Amrit Singh, is still working for George Soros' Open Society Foundation in New York. Now, where, you might ask, is the Rothschild connection? Well, Amartya Sen's wife, before she married him, what was her name? Emma Georgina Rothschild. Close enough? So you see, Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi are close to the Rothschild as well as George Soros. Like it or not, they're puppets in those hands. Now, Rahul Gandhi couldn't care less about anything else. He says, I want to be Prime Minister. Why? It's his birthright, apparently. So he thinks. And you remember, recently, during this last Parliament session, he said, in 2 minutes I can solve this Manipur problem. How? Because if he can solve it in 2 minutes, it only we mean one thing, that he is behind it. And it's his cronies or his word that says do it or pull back. There's no other way that they would stop in 2 minutes or even in 2 days. Now we move to Nuh, which is become another big hotspot. And whom do you find involved? Not just the local Muslims, but a large gang of Rohingyas and Bangladeshis. Now remember, hiding everything, camouflaging all these details behind communal rioting. Just as in Manipur it is Christian cookies versus Hindu metis. Here it is Muslims against Hindus. And what is it all? You see, the police in Nuh went after the cybercrime group, which Nuh is a big hub apparently. And they went after him with a vengeance. This was their way of taking revenge. You see, a group of devotees going to the temple, they were assaulted, attacked with knives and stones and swords and things like this. And in some instances, near the temple, there were a few hills. There were guns placed there and they were used to fire at the temple and devotees. All this was a cover for the real thing was to attack the cybercrime branch of the police. Not only did they attack those head offices in Nuh, but also they killed two of those police officers involved in this cybercrime. Plus, one of the home guards was killed. And then, just to camouflage it even further, they went on a rampage. Local hospitals and everything else. And this is right on Delhi's doorstep. It's not just less than 100 kilometers, it's probably only 50 or 60 kilometers away. I mean, Nuh is not that far from Delhi. And what about Gurugram? It's a favorite place where people commute from Gurugram into Delhi and from Delhi to Gurugram. Gurugram, by the way, used to be Gurgaon. Plus, there are so many multinationals based there. Are they trying to drive them out? Why? So that India doesn't go forward? And just how forward has India gone? How far forward has it gone? Now, a piece of information on the internet. You know, when the Prime Minister unfurled the tricolour at the Red Fort on the 15th of August, something else happened, which is not very well publicized in the press, but it's there on YouTube. I don't know if it's true or not. It may actually be true. What is that? You know this Chandrayaan lunar module? It was equipped with one laser weapon. What was it doing? Any asteroid or any rock or any missile or anything that comes its way, it can neutralize. It can make it disintegrate with this laser jet or laser beam. The Americans, the Russians and the Chinese have been screaming, wanting this, because they don't have anything like it. I hope to heaven that ISRO, who created it, do not sell it to them, because it's a very, very nasty weapon in the wrong hands. There is a larger version of this, which we have not publicized, we have not shown anywhere. And that I don't think is going to be for sale anyway. It's only for our own use. Now, all this could never have happened with the UPA government had it still been in power. because both DRDO, HAL, ISRO, all these concerned have been stomped on. They've been kept down. Now, coming back to this, Rahul Gandhi makes a big hoo-ha. He meets one rape victim in Manipur. Big deal. I'm not saying it's a good thing that he only met one. Even that one should never have happened. He will go to Hathras, make a big hue and cry. He will go to Kanpur. But why didn't he go to Karnal when there were Hindu-Muslim riots? Why has he not taken up the matter with Mr. Gehlot as the Chief Minister of Rajasthan? 6,000 cases of Dalit girls and women raped, gang rape, murder, and not a word. And the only minister from the Congress party in the Rajasthan Assembly who brought up the topic was dismissed from his ministerial position, and then he was not allowed to enter the assembly by marauding Congress MLAs. Is this how much you care for the women folk? Is this place, is Rajasthan not in India? At the same time, you get women paraded naked in Malda and rapes and so on. You get violence which kills 50 or 60 people in just one election. In West Bengal, not a word. The silence truly is deafening. I mean, it beggars belief. What's going on in their minds? They have one other habit, a very nasty one. You know what that is? It's called shoot and scoop. They'll make a horrendous statement, big hue and cry and run. Why? They don't want to listen to the rebuttal. They don't want to hear. But they will leave that in the minds of people, as if the present government is totally incapable, even though there's a perfectly normal and decent explanation for it. They don't want to hear that. You remember the recent session of monsoon session of Parliament. They keep screaming about Manipur. On the first day itself, Amit Shah, the Minister for Home Affairs, he said, I want a discussion on Manipur. They refused. 9 days, no work was permitted. Just wasted taxpayers' money. And then they brought in a no confidence motion, where the Congress, the opposition people, spoke about everything under the sun except Manipur. And when Mr. Modi got up to reply to those charges, they walked out. You see, shoot and scoot. They never intended to talk about Manipur. They never wanted to discuss it. Because all their, how shall I put it, ignorance and their malafide intention would have come to the fore. How much longer must we tolerate such monsters? And these guys keep wandering around among us, and you folks keep voting them into power or into office. Are we that totally bereft of any thinking capacity or thinking ability that we have no idea what they're up to? I mean, if any of the opposition parties come to power today, India will be back into slavery. And this time we'll never get out of it. You have a look at the US. You think it's great? Just go in there and see the amount of homeless people living on the streets. You go to New York, people go into malls, shopping malls, pick up stuff and walk out, and nobody says a word, nobody dares say a word. And yet you or I walk in there, we get hauled up. But these are homeless people in the US. It's not just in India. What does Victoria Nuland want in India? She wants somebody like Rahul Gandhi to be Prime Minister. Why? Because then the Americans can pillage and plunder and loot India in much the same way the British did for 200 years. Whether it was the East India Company or the British government. One of the things she wants desperately. What is it? Thorium off the Tamil Nadu coast. Huge amounts on the beaches and so on. Also along the Odisha coast. We were one of the leaders in thorium technology, or the use of thorium, as a replacement for nuclear fission, nuclear energy. But thanks to the European government, that has stopped, and the thorium is exported to China. Now see, with Manipur and Nuh, there is a third front, which we have to look at. What was in that agreement or MOU signed between the Congress Party of India by Rahul Gandhi in 2008 in Beijing and the Communist Party of China? Why has that not been tabled in Parliament? Why is there no knowledge about what's in that agreement? How much have they sold off to the Chinese? Don't you think it's about time that was brought out in the open? And if he doesn't put him behind bars, both him, Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi and Robert Vadra. Why? They were accessories to that signing, which makes them as guilty as Rahul Gandhi himself. And there is now a third side, or fourth side if you like, to this assault on India. You've got the George Soros drug syndicate from Manipur. You've got the opposition, who are doing everything in their power through Nuh and Manipur and everywhere else to bring down the government, to show us in a very poor light, especially with the G20 people coming. What was Rahul Gandhi's involvement? What has he committed in that agreement? All of us need to know this. Otherwise, that man should be behind bars for high treason. Like it or not, that's what it is. It's called dealing with the enemy or collaborating with the enemy. And now, something else comes to light. Recently, news clicks. How much money has the Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party poured into India for propaganda? To gloss over Chinese wrongdoings and make them look wonderful people. At the same time destroying India with all sorts of misinformation. Through whom? Our own journalists. You touch them, freedom of the press has been attacked. You say anything, 7 mothers faint. I mean, what the hell is going on? Freedom of the press also means responsibilities. You better believe it. It doesn't mean you'd say anything you please. And if you are Indian and you're siding with the enemy, don't believe that you're Indian. You deserve to be taken out and put behind bars. But here's the odd bit. Some of the money has been coming directly into India to the journalists. But the major chunk is coming not from China. It's coming through an American millionaire based in China, I think Neville Roy Singham. But it's coming through America, the USA, through companies there which send the money into India. And quite a few of them, they send the money and then disappear. So it's difficult, if not impossible, to trace them. You know, the money trail. And there are almost 40, maybe 50 of these journalists. Now they say Lutyens' gang, they're involved. They're getting a lot of this largesse. It's quite possible. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But it explains why they're so pro-China and anti-India. That the Indian government mustn't do anything to upset them. Why? You remember I said it was a three-pronged attack in February. The Hindenburg report, the BBC documentary, Victoria Nuland. And here you are, George Soros' drug cartel, internal opposition, and more rioting in Nuh, almost on Delhi's doorstep, with huge political backing. Without that, it cannot happen. Let's get that straight. And news clicks. So not three, but a four-pronged attack on India. And these are the people you call leaders? People who deserve your attention? Maybe you should tar and feather them instead. That's what they deserve. Because they have no interest in India except how much they can loot, pillage and plunder and take out. For the benefit of the US, Europe, Australia, maybe somewhere else. Well, folks, please understand that these attacks and assaults from outside will keep coming. And when you have people like Rahul Gandhi who go abroad and say, what is the USA and the UK and the EU doing to save democracy in India? A direct invitation to interfere in our internal affairs. And this is what you call a leader of India? This is what you want as Prime Minister? I can't believe that you guys are so dumb. Grow up, folks, please. All this is happening in front of your very eyes, and you're blind or deaf to it. The three monkeys, you know, Start opening your eyes and your ears and start using those things, you know, the brains in between your ears. Try and understand what's going on and do something about it. We've got a leader who's doing something for India, taking us way forward, which is what the whole world is frightened to death of. The sleeping giant has woken up. Don't try putting him back to sleep. Please. Thank you, folks. Ciao. If you like, please send on to your groups, your friends, your relatives, and everybody else. Discuss it among your friends and so on. Press the like and subscribe buttons. And have a nice time and see you next time.